From Cromwell Field at Loker Stadium on the campus of USC, FSN West 2 presents the 72nd renewal. UCLA versus USC track and field dual meet. Good day, everyone. I'm John Ollers, and welcome to one of the richest events in the rivalry that is UCLA versus USC, the dual track meet. USC has the upper hand on the men's side. UCLA has the upper hand on the women's side. My pleasure to bring in my partner for today's broadcast, Tom Fuhr. Tom, we're going to see some great athletes in the event, especially on the women's side, where we're going to see some world-class athletes.
Well, you're exactly right, John, and it's worth pointing out that UCLA is the defending national champion on the women's side. USC most recently won in 2001. This is the most preeminent dual meet in the country, and these two programs are always among the top half dozen in the country every single year. Now, let's talk about some of those world-class athletes. Monique Henderson, one of the guttiest runners I've ever seen. She helped lead the U.S. to the 4x400 meter gold medal in Athens, and then perhaps an even more stirring performance was at the NCAA championships when her 49.6 leg in the 400, which was equal to the fastest ever run for a relay leg at the NCAAs, led UCLA to a fourth place finish in that event and the team title. They couldn't have done it without her. Now USC has their own version a little bit of Monique Henderson, and that's Ginny Powell. Ginny has emerged this year under the tutelage of Tommy Lee White. She has run the fastest time in the U.S. this year at 12:75. She lost most recently to Perdita Felicien, who is the reigning world champion, and we might see Ginny on the world championship team for the U.S. this summer. She is just so good in about 4 events in this meet, John.
On the men's side, certainly the competition has never been better. The last 3 times that these two teams have gotten together here at Loker Field, the men's dual meet has been decided by just 1 point. UCLA certainly has their fair share of talent as well.
The last 3 times we've been here, it's been decided by 1 point. Now, UCLA is going to have to put a lot of their emphasis on their middle distance guys. John Rankin is one of those guys under Eric Peterson's tutelage that has emerged this year. He ran a 3:57 mile a few weeks back, which was the fastest mile run by a Bruin since Ron Cornell in 1980. We will see him in the 800 and 1500 today. And then with USC, John, it's the sprints. And Wes Felix, the 2-time defending Pac-10 200-meter champion, will be running the 100, the 200, and the 4x100 meter relay. And now he has a counterpart, Marvin Anderson, the Jamaican who is flying this year, ran 20:36 at the Mount Sac Relays, the second fastest time by a collegian this year under any conditions. I'm really looking forward to the sprints on this beautiful day, John.
Time now to introduce the third member of our broadcast team for the festivities today. He'll be trackside with us throughout the meet, John Checks.
Thanks, John. Well, as you and Tom mentioned, there are great athletes as well as great history on both sides, but it all starts with the coaches. We have 3 of the best coaches in the entire nation here today. For UCLA on the women's side, Jeanette Bolden leads them. She's in her 12th year as a head coach at UCLA, and her dual meet record, 70-0. That's right, 70-0, 11-0 against the Trojans in her 12-year career. Art Venegas, the head coach on the men's side for UCLA. His team won the Pac-10 title a year ago, and he's regarded as one of the premier throwing coaches in the entire nation, which of course will mean big points today as far as the results of this dual meet. For USC, their coaching staff, well, it's one man, Ron Alice. He leads both the men's and the women's side. The men, they've been spectacular in recent memory. 3 Pac-10 titles in the last 7 years, and All-American status for his men, 67 claims to All-American titles throughout his coaching career. How impressive has that been? And on the women's side, 3 of the past 5 years, this team has finished in the top 3. Of course, Tom, as you mentioned, it all came together in 2001 when they won their first ever NCAA title. So I'll be down here on the sideline bringing you all the action and, of course, all the reaction. Back up to you.
Thanks, John. We're set to go now at Loker Field here on the campus of USC. UCLA and USC, the dual meet. And our first event when we come back, the women's 4x100 meter relay. University of Southern California, beautiful day for a dual meet, and it's time for the women's 4x100 meter relay, our first event.
Well, this should be a very good one. USC's relay team is the 4th fastest in the country this year, and you can see they're going to be on the outside in lane number 5, UCLA in lane number 4. Now the USC quartet, Ginny Powell to lead off. We talked about her in the open. She could be in 4 events today. Jessica Anye Panuka, the freshman standout from Arizona, is running 2nd leg. Tracy Thomas, 3rd leg. And Alexis Weatherspoon, the veteran, will run the anchor. UCLA, a more inexperienced team. Yolanda Diego on the 1st leg. Mackenzie Hill, the 2nd leg. Deshante Harris, the 3rd, and then the great Monique Henderson on the anchor. So the 2 big stars, Powell running the leadoff leg, Henderson running the anchor leg.
So decided advantage perhaps early for the Trojans.
USC is the prohibitive favorite. Now, it's very important to note that in this meet, in the relays, 5 points for the winner, 0 for second place. Every other event outside of the relays, the scoring is 5 for first, 3 for second, and 1 for third.
So a great deal of value at stake in the relays.
Powell's the defending Pac-10 100-meter champion.
Get away clean.
And Powell's off to a very, very fast start, John. Her sprinting has improved so much in the last couple of years, and USC's going to have a decided advantage on the first handoff, which is a beautiful handoff. And now we see Jessica Onyepanuka, who is the freshman, running that second leg, John.
Which seems to be extending the lead a little bit as well.
And now the veteran Tracy Thomas is the third leg runner. UCLA countering with Deshante Harris. Now USC's got a big lead, but Monique Henderson is likely to cut into that, but not by enough here. USC, is, as long as they get that baton in the hand, they're going to be a clear winner. And this is Alexis Weatherspoon down the stretch. Henderson's picking up some ground, but this is USC's race.
Yeah, she's run out of racetrack, and as you said, the women of Troy will take this event.
And unofficially 43.8. That's comparable to the 43.82 that the team of Powell, Onyepanuka, Weatherspoon, and freshman Carol Rodriguez ran a couple of weeks ago, which is the 4th fastest time in the country this year. Now, of course, in the relays, John, the handoffs are critical. You can have the fastest people in the world, but if they can't get the stick around, as the U.S. men's team had trouble with finishing second last year. Now, that's very nice handoff there from Powell to Onyepanuka. And now we're going to see the final handoff, a safer handoff, but still very, very good, between Thomas and Weatherspoon. Both women, Thomas and Weatherspoon, veteran of the LA CIF and city races in the past, and Weatherspoon coming on down the stretch. Very impressive win for USC. And they're going to be a factor in the NCAA meet.
We get the result, 43.8, as you said, Tom, so good start for the women of Troy. And really not unexpected.
No, not at all. And they have just a terrific, group of sprinters. So good a group of sprinters that Carol Rodriguez, who anchored the team to the 43.82 earlier this year, she didn't even run here, so they've got depth. And there you see Jeanette Bolden with Monique Henderson. Big, very, very busy day for her.
And we'll be right back with the men's 4x100 field. And
43.92, a really nice performance. USC now 2 sub-44 second races in this event this year, John.
And it's time to move over now to the men's side in the 4x100 and a look at the records. Not only the meet record, but also the Pac-10 mark.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, John. USC's team is #1 in the country this year at 38.89. They are loaded. They're in lane 5, the outside again. Philip Francis, Wes Felix, Lionel Larry, and Marvin Anderson. And, we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the 1980 USC team, which was so good in this event, featuring James Sanford and those folks. And this relay team is just a very, very good team. And these sprinters are now healthy. Last year, Philip Francis and Marvin Anderson both were not as healthy. That SC team, by the way, in 1980 ran 38.69. That was Kevin Williams, Billy Mullins, James Sanford, and Michael Sanford. And so this USC team this year, so early in the year, only 0.2 of a second off that. Marvin Anderson, healthy now. He's the anchor. He's from Jamaica. He went to the very famous Jamaican high school, St. Iago, and he'll be running anchor. And, of course, Wes Felix, who has been a 2-time Pac-10 200-meter champion and has won the 100 and 200 in this meet the last 2 years, running second leg. I'd like to talk about UCLA's team, but this is really an event that UCLA is not particularly strong in. Their 4 runners are James Rhodes, David Shipp, Jeff Jacobs, Chauncey Smith. Again, 5 points for first, 0 for second. USC will be very cautious in getting that baton around the track. So it'll be interesting to see just how fast SC runs. A very nice day, a little bit of a wind, but John, it should not be much of a factor down on the track.
The breeze has kicked up here in the moments since the meet began. But a pleasant day.
Well, that's a good start for Francis. He got out just the way we'd want to, and again, with this sprinter healthy, that's big news for USC. Now he's going to hand off to Wes Felix, who flies down the backstretch usually when he gets this baton. Great pass, John.
Now this one mirroring the women's 4x100 at this point, with SC comfortably in front.
Larry took off, seemed a little bit early. Now this is the outstanding freshman. Now watch, he switched the baton to his other hand, another no-no. But now he's flying around that curve. The great sprint star from Dominguez will hand off now to Marvin Anderson. You wait to see this Jamaican. Boy, that handoff was a little rough too. And here comes Anderson, a yellow flag, so we're going to have to take a look at that one. USC may get disqualified, and I think that's going to be the situation here. Unbelievable, because this is one event where USC figured to win by a landslide. You can see the yellow flag down on the track, and they're going to get disqualified in all likelihood for that atrocious handoff.
Unfortunate in so much as all they needed was a safe handoff, and it appeared to be their event.
Well, yeah, this is what can happen. You know, Marvin Anderson jogged down the stretch and ran 40 flat. Now here you see the yellows. You see the yellow passing zone. He reaches back. He reaches back. He reaches back.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think that he ever had control of that within the passing zone. We're going to have to get a final confirmation on that, but the yellow flag was raised on that event. Tough way to start. Here again, we're seeing the pass from Larry to Anderson, fumbling around back there. And I think they're going to disqualify SC on this, but we need...
Appeared to be close at the end, but...
We'll have to get final confirmation from the officials. Boy, huge crowd out here today, John. It's great to see the track and field is going well in the Southland.
My first exposure to this event, Tom, and all week long in taking in the media luncheon and the festivities that surround this, and listening to people who have UCLA and USC roots, this is a very important event in their hearts as well.
Absolutely. It's the top dual meet in the country.
Well, we'll have the official results after we step aside.
Bruce, can we yell that?
Cromwell Field at Locher Stadium on the campus of USC, and the man with the best time in the Pac-10 this year, John Rankin, we will see in this particular event.
John Rankin has absolutely broken through this season. He's run 147.11 for 800, which is the third fastest collegiate time in the country.
As we look at the Pac-10 mark and the meet record. Excuse me, Tom.
I'm sorry. And then Rankin, of course, has ran a 3:57 mile, which was the third fastest in UCLA history. Now, the big story here is he's in with Ben Aragon of UCLA. Aragon 2 years ago here, and he's in the back there, won 3 events in this meet, the 800, the 1500, and the 5000. That led UCLA to that 1-point victory. Now, the key Trojan for this is Tomas Babiškević, who has been involved in numerous races with the UCLA crew over the last couple of years. So Rankin and Aragon, who are roommates, teammates, were 1-2 in the Pac-10s last year, with Aragon winning in the 800, and were 3-4 in the 1500 in the Pac-10s. And you can see Babiškević is actually tucked into about 4th or 5th place right now. And you can see the 3 of them are in the back. Babiškević, it's Rankin, Babiškević, and Aragon, and that's where the race is. It's actually in the back of the pack. All the rest of this stuff is window dressing.
Fodder, as you might say.
Yeah, and we're coming up to the 400-meter split, 59.1, so that's a very quick pace, and I understand why they're doing it. Rankin and Aragon are going to double back in the 800, and SC wants to take the life out of their legs here in this race.
Incidentally, in the men's 4x100, there was a disqualification. We'll revisit that in a moment when we'll go trackside with JJ.
So you can see here, it's still the races in the back of the pack. This is Daniel Savike of USC, who is in the lead. And he's dropped out. He was the rabbit for this race. Babiškević is still in the back. And now the leader is Austin Davis for USC. So it's Davis, Rankin, Aragon, Babiškević, and now the real race is going to start to happen here.
Well, SC down a runner, but I don't think that's
now that
news to anyone here at Locher Field.
That was a cute move by Ron Ellis to take the sting out of Aragon and
Imagine
Rankin.
that happening in a meet like this.
Yeah, never happens. All right, and now we see Austin Davis drop off. It's 2 minutes flat for the first 800 meters, and now the race begins. That's Babiškević in the lead, Rankin in second on his shoulder, and Aragon in third.
Well, the hope for the Trojans is clearly Babiškević.
Well, Babish-Kavish, of course, when the Pac-10 meet was held here 2 years ago, got in a severe bumping incident with some of the Stanford kids. And Babish-Kavish finished 6th at the Pac-10 championships last year in this event in the 1500, and then as a freshman finished 2nd at the Pac-10s. And now we see Rankin, Babish-Kavish, and Aragon. And who could forget 2 years ago Aragon's triple win, but Rankin is the man with the fitness. And it's 1 lap to go, John.
There's the bell. Babish-Kavish gives way just a little bit on the turn.
I don't think Babish-Kavish can stay with Rankin. Rankin's a guy that's run a 147.800 this year, 258 through 1,200 meters, 57.5 for Rankin on that last lap, and he's really shredding it now. Now the question's going to be, can Aragon move up? Aragon's fitness level is not as good as it has been the past couple of years, but he's starting to make a move on Babish-Kavish. And that will be critical for team points for UCLA.
Indeed, it looks as if SC may only get 1 point from this particular event, because here comes Aragon.
And again, in this meet, it's not so much who wins, it's who scores the points. So the big race here is going to be for 2nd and 3rd. Rankin looks back, and although Rankin will win rather easily, the real race is for 2nd when you look at the team title hopes.
They come to their feet, but as you mentioned, Aragon doesn't look like he's got enough left in the tank, and he does not.
Babish-Kavish 2nd, Aragon 3rd, and wow, John Rankin 340, and that just might be a meet record here.
Well, Babish-Kavish was on his own, and he held his own, at least to get the 3 points for the Trojans.
And Aragon, just a brilliant, brilliant run. And you can see the move that he made with a couple laps to go. And
there's Rankin taking the lead for good on the first turn of the final lap. And there you can see him making the final turn of the final lap, and what a gap he had created by then.
And this is the fastest time in the country this year for a 1,500 meters that's not en route to a mile for a collegian. So that's a huge performance by John Rankin, and looks like it may be one of 2 wins today. And once we get the official results, we can see if it's a meet record.
Unofficially at 340.1. And John Rankin, who's had a tremendous season, continues it here at the dual meet with the Trojans on the campus of the University of Southern California. And what has turned out just to be a wonderful day for the dual meet. Let's go trackside now to JJ.
Thanks, John. Well, I have John Rankin, and first of all, congratulations on a great race. 3:40.11, the top time in the nation so far this year. How did you feel?
I feel comfortable, pretty relaxed. The Trojans were very tough today. They threw everything they had out there at us, and just try to stay focused and stay relaxed, and it was a pretty good race.
How about the strategy? They threw some rabbits out there to try to get you out a little bit early. Were you deterred by that, or did it affect you at all?
I wanted to run fast. I wanted to make it honest, because Tomas is a great 1,500-meter runner, and I knew that if it was honest, I'd have a better chance at maybe pulling away with the victory here, and so I was pretty happy about that.
Okay, well, the big story is you have to come back and run the 800, and the big question is, do you have enough left in the tank to be effective in that race as well?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Good deal, John. Back up to you, John.
Nice work, JJ. Quite a performance by John Rankin, Tom.
Well, John, you're exactly right. His time is equivalent to a 3:57 mile, which is brilliant under these types of conditions. He smashed the meet record of Mark Hauser, 3:41.97, set way back in 1998, but even more impressively, intrinsically superior to the mile mark, 4:00.2, set by Bob Day in 1966.
That's going back a few years. The meet continues when we return. An update on the men's 4x100.
We have 2 people that are going to just shine in this meet like we've rarely seen, and this is a meet which has shown so many superstars over the years.
And an update on the team scores. UCLA after 4 events with a 4-point edge.
And that's on the men's side. We expect this one to go right down to the wire like it's done the last 3 times we've been here at Cromwell Field.
Yeah, that's a pretty big lead by historical standards on the men's
you're
side.
exactly right. Good point.
The last 3 combined weren't separated by that many points. Time for the men's 110-meter high hurdles. And look at the records.
Well, Eric Mitchum from Oregon running very well early on. He's the defending Pac-10 champion. And Greg Foster, you know, at some point I want to get into all the greats that have run in this meet, and he's certainly one of them, a triple world champion and one of the great athletes to compete here. And, you know, you're seeing now in lane number 3, this is Anthony Galston of UCLA. And Galston was second behind Mitchum in the Pac-10s last year. And really the race here is in lanes 3, 4, and 5 with Galston, Frazier, and Williams, John.
Well, in the middle lanes once again, we will watch for the race within the race.
Galston has had a slow start this year, and really it's been Williams who's been the impressive one from UCLA. Now, Blake Frazier, who has improved again by leaps and bounds. His previous best time, 14:28 coming into this year, but Dr. Tommy Lee White, once again, this guy has had a 5/10 of a second improvement to 13:78. He's 8th fastest in the NCAA this season. And Jonathan Williams, who we'd previously thought of more as an intermediate hurdler, he has the 12th fastest time in the nation at 13:82. Jonathan Williams was second in the 400 hurdles of the Pac-10s last year behind teammate Brandon Johnson, who we're going to see a little bit later, who's one of the great talents in this country. The wind really kicking up now.
And again, as was the case a moment ago in the women's 100, though, it's a cross.
Left to right, Galston, Frazier, and Williams. Frazier got out best, John. And Frazier, Williams, and Galston, the three of them are together.
Yeah, that is still the race as they near the finish.
It looks like, wow, it looks like Williams, wow.
What an effort.
Great effort, about 13:8. What we expected it to be very, very close between the three of them, and it really was. And, you know, you see Williams dive at the line, and that's what this meet means to these athletes. This dual meet is for many of them, as important as a Pac-10 championship. And that's the kind of effort you expect to see. We'll see the a replay here. And Frazier was the guy that got out very, very well. You see him in the middle of the track in lane 4. Williams on his right. You see that three of them are going over the hurdles almost at exactly the same time. And on the lean, Frazier got first, I believe, and Williams second and Galston third. Terrific, terrific race. And
can't say enough about the effort, though, of Jonathan Williams. I mean, regardless of where he finishes, he left nothing out there.
And we'll see him again in the 400-meter hurdles, where he'll go up against his teammate and a national class hurdler, Brandon Johnson.
Now, it was tough to tell whether they were running away from you or towards you.
Well, and this meet is known for the great hurdlers. And Frazier, the winner, Galston second, and Williams third. And
as you called it.
And as I was saying, John, Earl McCullough, Mark Creer, Felix Sanchez, these are some of the people that have been hurdlers in this meet. You know, the historical side of this rivalry is just amazing. And when you talk about the UCLA hurdlers, Greg Foster, Kevin Young, the Olympic champion, Andre Phillips, the Olympic champion, Joanna Hayes, the Olympic champion. Those are the type of hurdlers we've had in this meet in prior years.
So Frazier at the line gets the men's 110 high hurdles, the women's 400 meters. And you see USC with a decided early advantage, Tom.
Well, Jeanette Bolden has never lost a dual meet in her 10-plus years at UCLA, and this might be the first time right here at USC. We're going to have to keep a close eye on this score.
Time for the women's 400 now.
Monique Henderson broke the meet record in this race last year. This is her first open 400 of the season. She's run brilliantly. The Olympic gold medalist has run brilliantly in the 100 and 200 already this year. She's got the 6th fastest time in the country in the 100 and the 5th fastest time in the country among collegians, in the 200. She's already run a personal best 11:34 in the 100 and then 22:96 in the 200. So she's going to go in the 400. Spoke to Coach Jeanette Bolden earlier. She said she had the stomach flu earlier this week.
Now we'll see if it affects her here.
Tough crosswind for these runners to come out, and as you can see, Monique Henderson already going out very, very fast. She was at one time the national high school record holder out of Morse High School in San Diego, and then kind of struggled in her first couple years at UCLA. Last year, of course, emerged. She is just so tough, John, and you can see she's made up the stagger and everybody in the field.
Yeah, halfway home, and it appears as if somebody's going to have to make a brilliant run at her. Otherwise, this is already her race.
Indeed, and USC's got a couple good runners, Jasmine Lee in lane 6 and Tracy Thomas in lane number 4, so they're going to get second and third. But this is all Monique Henderson, and look at how smooth she is. The only thing she's running for now is to see if she can break her own meet record.
And she will take the 400.
It looks like Thomas is going to get second and Lee third.
And that is how it will
Wow.
be. The Rialto native Thomas just edging out her teammate Lee at the line.
It looks like 50.8, John, which smashes this meet record here, and also is going to be the fastest time among collegians in the country this year. It's also going to be the fastest time, I think, among any U.S. runners this year. I mean, she is just in great form.
Oh, I wish I could perform anywhere near that level after any sort of stomach flu.
Well, exactly
that was quite
right.
a performance.
Now, Coach Bolden also told me that she has been, that in the off season, the one area that they thought that she could improve on was to do some weightlifting. So she's been doing some weightlifting to get some added strength, and you can see she hardly looks tired. There's somebody now that's 2 down and two more races potentially to go. And she's just a class above. And you can see obscured a little bit, they're out there in lane 5. She just took control right at the start of this race. She's so smooth. You know, it almost looks like it's effortless for her. She still has a tendency, in my opinion, to have a bit of a longer stride than might be optimal, but how can I say that when she's running this fast this early in the year?
Hard to fight with the results, that's for sure.
Thanks, John. I'm down with Monique Henderson. First of all, congratulations on a great race. Talk about the race a little bit, because you got out to a great start, and it looked like then you put it in cruise control.
Yeah, really just working on the start and then the last half of the race, so on the backstretch pretty much cruised.
Now talk about how you're feeling today, because some people might not know that you had a stomach flu earlier in the week. How is that affecting you?
I'm still a little weak. I haven't had a really good meal since last Monday and just haven't had too many good workouts, so feeling better today, though.
Okay, well, the big story is, of course, the points and the points that are on the line. You have 2 more events to go. Are you going to be able to run in those 2 as you enter the rest of the day?
Definitely. I'm going to get in there and do the most I can for my team, and we'll just have to see what happens.
4 events for Monique Henderson. We got a lot more to see of her. John, Tom, back to you.
Thanks, JJ. Sounds like she's feeling the emotion of the dual meet. Let's update the men's scores now, and real shocker here, Tom. Only 1 point separating the team.
Gosh, haven't we seen that before in this venue before?
It's deja vu all over again.
Yeah, how can you have so many points in a meet and have it only separated by 1 point each time? It's amazing.
Well, let's see if they can separate themselves a little bit here. It's time for the men's 400 now as we take a look at the Pac-10 best and the meet record.
I'm salivating for this race because we are seeing 3 of the best talents in the country in this event. You have Craig Everhart in lane 5, who ran sub 45 seconds last year for UCLA, the great freshman Lionel Larry in lane 4, and then the world junior silver medalist in the 400 hurdles and the world junior gold medalist in the 4x400 meter relay, Brandon Johnson in lane 7 running the open 400. This will be a doozy. And again, Craig Everhart started a little bit slower this season than he did last year, but who could forget at the Pac-10s, he ran 3rd behind Banda and Barton of Arizona State. He's just been running very well last year. And see if he can equal that for him this year.
Well, none of the sprints so far have been terribly close.
It's going to be
the finish, but perhaps here.
Lionel Larry has also suffered from a lot of key problems. Coach Alice said it's been hard to get him healthy. He had played football in high school and got an injury. And you can see how smooth he looks in lane number 4, right there in the middle of the track. Denier Verscher of UCLA also looking good in lane number 3. But right now it looks like Everhart and Brandon Johnson out on the outside. He doesn't have anybody to kind of key himself over. But look at Larry leading this race.
Now he's got someone to key himself on. And Larry's still looking smooth.
Holy cow, this would be a really major upset if he pulls this off.
And he'll get Everhart at the line.
Wow, and Brandon Johnson got 3rd. Unofficially 45.7. That's going to obliterate his personal best of 45.9. This kid has arrived. This kid has arrived on the national stage here, this freshman. Tremendous performance.
What a great performance. And boy, the teammates all coming up to him immediately.
This was a big win for USC, John.
That was huge.
And you can see how smooth he is. He had been a 100-200 sprinter primarily at Dominguez High, and he held off one of the stronger runners in the collegiate ranks in Craig Everhart. Just really, that's guts right there. Tremendous performance.
And the unofficial results there, Larry, the 45.7 that Tom mentioned. Everhart and Johnson.
One thing to note, too, that Lionel Larry had a hip operation last fall, really had no fall, and started doing some quarter-mile workouts. And as I mentioned, he's been hurt every year because of that hip injury he had in football. So this is a real breakthrough.
And he is just a freshman and will be back with the women's 100, men's 400, and he's standing by in the infield with John Jackson.
Yeah, thanks. And Lionel, first of all, earlier in the week, Coach Alice said that you have the heart of 3 people. Was it just hard to get you through on that race?
That was it. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to one of our teammates, Clark. He's in the hospital right now. I want to let him know that we're all out here running for him. But as far as my race, it was just all heart. I never liked before, but I'm sucking it up for the team. That's what I went out there and gave it, all I had, my heart.
Okay, well, you're only a freshman, but this was your personal best, 45.78. Talk about that and talk about, did you expect to run that fast in this race today?
I felt if my kick was strong enough and the weather was right, I was going to dip that low. I was ready.
Now, you got off to a big lead and held off Craig Everhart. Did you feel him coming at the end?
Oh, I felt him every step of the way. I mean, he's a great runner. But I just felt if I had confidence in my kick, and it held on all the way down the race.
Well, John, you know what they say is that in this USC-UCLA dual meet, people bring out their best. That's exactly what we got here. Back up to you.
Thanks, JJ. Good job. Field events going on today as well, and take a look in on the women's pole vault.
I got to tell you, this meet is so good. You got somebody like Chelsea Johnson. She finished in the worst place that you can in the Olympic trials. She finished 4th, just missing the U.S. Olympic team, and then she's been injured. She had knee surgery last year, and she's coming back from a hamstring injury, but today she finally got it unraveled. 14 feet, 1 1/4 inch, a really good performance for her to come back on. Keep in mind that Chelsea Johnson holds the collegiate record in this event at 15 feet even, and also keep in mind that Chelsea Johnson is the daughter of Jan Johnson, who made the U.S. Olympic pole vault team in 1972. Maybe a father-daughter combo platter when we get to Beijing in 2008.
Well, the bloodlines are there, and some of the field events that we'll take a look at perhaps a little bit later on in the show as well. Going on as the track events take place as well. Now time for the women's 100 meters.
Well, this is another real classic confrontation. Now, I don't see Monique Henderson out there, this will be an event that she dropped. She was originally listed in this event, so we'll see her next on the 200. But Ginny Powell, event number 3 for Ginny Powell. Now, she's the reigning Pac-10 champion in this event, and actually last year was a better sprinter than hurdler. And of course this year, with what she's been doing, 3 times under 1280, but last year she won the Pac-10s in 11:32, and her teammate Alexis Weatherspoon was 5th in this event. And then Ginny Powell was quote-unquote only 3rd in the Pac-10s and the 100 hurdles behind Sheena Johnson, who was 4th in the Olympic Games. We talk about 4th being a rough position to get. Sheena was 4th in the Olympic Games, whereas Chelsea Johnson was 4th in the trials.
That was interesting. Henderson told our John Jackson earlier that if her legs weren't feeling good, perhaps it'd be the 200 that she would drop out of, but she drops out of this, the 100.
I've got to ask JJ to ask Monique Henderson next time we see her after the 200 where she keeps her gold medal. It's always interesting to see that. Ginny Powell, 5'10", not necessarily, again, the best size for a sprinter, but she can get out there. And as I mentioned, 2-sport star at Rainier Beach High School. And it's a noted high school up in the state of Washington. Great basketball teams, and she played on one when she was there.
Jessica Anye Panuka, also in lane 6. We saw her in the 400.
Talented freshman. Wow, Powell got out. Terrific start.
Well, this looks like the women of Troy all the way.
1, 2, 3, John. Win number 3 for Virginia Powell, unofficially 11-2. Very, very nice time. Dominated from start to finish. Looked like Rodriguez and Weatherspoon were 2nd and 3rd. Watch how she gets out of the blocks here, and really, she's got such a terrific. She's right there in the middle. She keeps her head low, keeps her body low. That helps her get into her transition, and that is something that she's been really well coached in these sprints and these hurdles. 3 for 3, John.
Yeah, she shot out of the blocks in every race she's been in so far. Ginny Powell proving, Tom, that this meet brings out the best in the best.
This double was magnificent, 11.15. It's the fastest time in the country this year. and then 12:70, with both of them with legal wins, also the fastest time in the country this year on the collegiate ranks. So now she leads the collegiate list in 2 events. And by the way, just a final note on that 100 hurdles, it broke the meet record set by Olympic champion Joanna Hayes by .23.
And now it's time for the men's 100 as we take a look at the lane assignments.
Well, this is going to be all USC. We got Wes Felix in lane number 4, and Wes Felix, of course, is just a stud, 2-time Pac-10 champion at the 200 meters, and then second in the Pac-10 100 meters last year. And then we've got Philip Francis out in lane 6 and Gary Jones in lane 2. All SC should be. Philip Francis finally running injury-free, ran a great leg on that relay earlier today. This is the time when Wes Felix usually shines. He's won 2 of these 100-200 doubles at this meet.
Well, as you predicted, all SC.
All SC. I think Felix won that with Phil Francis second.
5 of the 7 runners were from Southern California, so.
Looked like about 10-2 there. Good race. Wes Felix always emerges at this meet. It's just uncanny. We've got a replay here. You can see Felix is so smooth. Keep in mind, there's one other runner I've seen this smooth. It's his sister, Allison Felix, who was a silver medalist in the 200 meters at the Olympics. And they both are just so smooth. Great family. Not only Allison Felix and Wes Felix great athletes, but they're great people too.
And look at the unofficial number right there at 10-2. Felix had come in right around there with his seed time as well. So we'll be back with more of the women's 800 on tap. And USC gets all 9 points available there, Tom.
I'll tell you what, Wes Felix, a personal best 10:23, breakthrough event 10:24 for Phil Francis in second. And now we're in the women's 800, and
so the UCLA now leading the women's score by a 48-38 count as the 800 has begun.
Okay. And we've got just 3 runners in here, Tominski, Clayton, and Swain. And right now it is Clayton leading with Tominski second and Swain in third. Irina Vaschuk had been entered in this. She won the 5,000. Looks like they're holding her for the 1,500, but this is an important race for team points. So as far as UCLA is concerned, Tominski's got to come through.
Yeah, she has to win.
Well, UCLA may not have to win, but she's got to break up these 2 Trojans, or it could come down to the last event here. I was talking to Coach Bolden, and she felt that Tominski had a breakthrough in her, and so it'll be very interesting to see. And that is Clayton 62 flat. Very fast first lap, John, for these runners. Swain in second. Swain has taken a remarkable improvement this year. I was talking to Coach Alice earlier this week, and you know, Swain was just a terrific high school runner in the 9th and 10th grade, and then she kind of fell off. But this is bad news for UCLA because Clayton and Swain have broken, and I mean broken, Tominski here. And this is going to be 8 valuable points if they continue to hold on for the Trojans, and that's going to make this thing tight again. It's going to be 49-46 after this race, probably, John.
Yeah, with a half a lap to go here, it would appear that the women of Troy are going to force this to come down.
It's a good race between the 2 of them, between Swain and Clayton.
And Swain looking strong as she makes the turn for home.
Now her personal best 2:07.96, and she's looking very, very strong. She's kind of recapturing that form of 4 or 5 years ago. And Clayton not looking too bad herself. 1-2 USC.
Yeah, strong performance from the women of Troy, and now just 3 points separating.
What a women. And I'm sorry, what a remarkable meet we've had. 2:05.9 there for Triana Swain, excuse me. That's a personal best by 2 seconds. Wow. We have seen some remarkable performances today, John. Wow.
We look at the unofficial number there, 2:05.9. You know, at the press luncheon earlier this week, a great number of these athletes did come up and address the media and spoke of the emotion that this meet invokes in them, and some of the athletes even saying that this is the beginning of their season, not necessarily the end, and that this is such an important meet for them.
Well, and I'll say this, Swain, in that same luncheon you went to, really praised Tom Walsh, who's the distance coach here at USC, and has been for quite some time, and the job that he's done with her has been remarkable.
Well, we're seeing that emotion in some of the numbers we've seen here today as well. So Swain with an impressive win in the 800, and now the women of Troy right back in it in the women's meet. And coming up, the men's 800. Today afternoon, an update of the men's standings, shows that the Trojans with a 7-point advantage now at 42-35, making the upcoming 800, Tom, all that much more important.
Boy, you hit the nail on the head, John. You're very, very perceptive. This may be the event of the meet. You can see 147.84 is the fastest time in the Pac-10 this year. Dwayne Solomon, he's in this. Actually, 147.11 is the fastest time in the Pac-10 this year, and that's John Rankin. Dwayne Solomon, the great freshman. You see lanes 1 to 6. Any one of those guys could be a factor in this race. There are 6 people in this race that have run under 150. 5 have run under 149. You don't see this type of depth in dual meets anymore, and this is going to be an absolutely barn burner, fabulous race. We mentioned Rankin. He's the 3rd fastest in the collegiate ranks this year at 147.11. He earlier won the 1,500 meters in 3:40, broke the meet record. Ben Aragon is coming back also from the 1,500 meters. Aragon and Rankin went 1-2 at the Pac-10s this year, and Anthony Heckman from USC was 3rd in the Pac-10s last year. Add Asafo Ajay, who was 2nd in the Pac-10s 2 years ago. He was injured last year, and you have just got a loaded, loaded field.
Well, not only that Pac-10 mark, but maybe even the meet record could fall here. We've got certainly enough possibilities.
And strategy is going to be
candidates.
I'm sorry. Strategy is going to be so key in this race.
We'll see the Trojans running a rabbit on the outside, perhaps. Speaking of that strategy.
Looks like Munguia of UCLA is going out to the early lead, and he's bookended on the left by Asafo Ajay, and by the right by that fabulous freshman Dwayne Solomon, who won the California State High School Championships 2 years ago for Gabriel Lompoc. Now Anthony Heckman of USC in 4th, so it's Munguia who's actually taking the pace out. And then you have the 3 Trojans. On the inside, Asafo Ajay, on the outside Solomon, and then Heckman tucked in right behind them, and then Rankin and Aragon.
They won't let Munguia get away. While he's out in front. It's by an eyelash at this point.
And here comes Rankin up on the outside. And oh boy, are we going to have a good one here. 52.3. This is a perfect pace for running about a 146.800. And there you see Munguia cutting inside there. Boy, Solomon looks good on the outside. He's moving into 2nd and then in 3rd. Oh, look at John Rankin come up on the outside now.
Boy, they were 4 abreast when they hit the line.
They are all 4 together, and this is big for the meet. Asafo Ajay making the break with Rankin. Wow.
Those 2 have decided to go out together.
It looks like they've broken the other 2 runners. Solomon dropping back into 3rd, Heckman into 4th, and it's a race between Asafo Ajay and Rankin coming back. I'll tell you, John Rankin has made such a breakthrough. He's one of the top middle distance runners right now in the country.
And he's making a break right now.
What a virtuoso performance by John Rankin. 2 years ago, it was Ben Aragon who won 3 events at this meet. Now, this year, John Rankin, a big, big victory, and you see Heckman moving into 2nd.
He won't catch Rankin, however, who's having a big, big day.
147.3 unofficially. Wow, wow, wow. What a double performance. 340, 147 in one day. John Rankin, I'll tell you, the Bruins middle distance guys, Eric Peterson, what a coach. You can see now this great pack. John Rankin on the inside. Asafo Ajay, that was what broke the other 2. Asafo Ajay could not hold off Rankin. And we see the finish coming up here in a second, and Rankin's strength. This kid has got both speed and strength, and then Heckman came from behind, nailed the other 2 USC runners. But look at how strong John Rankin looks down that stretch. Wow, what a double performance today.
They turned him away after the first lap, but only for a moment. And then on the backstretch, he decided to go out in front. Asafo Ajay able to hang in for a while, but ends up in 3rd. And the Bruins, with 5 points for Rankin's win, will gain a point in the team standings. John Rankin having a very special day on the dual meet day here on the campus of USC, and the women's 400 is up on the other side. At Loker Field on the campus of USC. And John Rankin, our winner at 147.54, standing by on the infield with JJ.
Thanks, John. I'm down with the man of the day for UCLA. You pulled off the double, the 1,500, now the 800. Is this the most satisfying day of your career?
Definitely. I couldn't ask for anything more. I'm super surprised that I was able to win both races. I'm so grateful. Praise the Lord for, blessing me with these gifts. And I'm just being able to step up today and help out my team. That's all I'm trying to do, is just be the best that I can for my team today. And it's working out so far.
It is working out. Let's talk about the strategy of the race. You started in lane 1. You were held back, but when you came around after 400 on the backstretch is where you made your move. Was that the plan all along?
Well, yeah, we wanted to see if we can get in a good position and hopefully have a chance on the backstretch, because, all three of the USC Trojans were in great position in the backstretch. We just wanted to see if we can make a move on the backstretch, maybe get to the lead, and if we could, maybe we thought we'd be able to hold it together and get to the finish, and today it worked out.
Well, we talked earlier in the week, and you talked about that this is the first real season that you've been healthy the entire time. Can you feel the benefits of that health?
Definitely. I finally had a summer of base training in, and I think that's actually showing. I'm having a lot of strength in my the speed that I never knew I had is kind of starting to show now at the end of races and everything, and basically that summer of training is paying dividends.
Mr. Rankin, you're having a career day. John, back to you.
You can say that again. John Rankin having an outstanding day. And let's take a look at, again, let's go to the field events one more time, and let's take a look at the women's javelin that has gone on here today.
Well, it happened earlier today, and the big studs here were the USC throwers. And you're looking at Andrea McBride. She, along with Leslie Erickson, are the two top throwers for the Trojans. UCLA doesn't have much experience in this event. And you can see the toss getting out there, and McBride wins a very solid throw, 161.7. Erickson 152.6. That's a very good throw for McBride in these good conditions for the javelin too.
And we're just about tuned in and ready for the women's 400 intermediate hurdles.
Well, the conference best. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Just
conference best. This year, Ashley Lodry at 59.65. John, this is going to be a crucial event for the team scoring situation. Right now, UCLA leads 66-56 over USC, and you can throw a blanket over this field. There are a lot of runners all with the same kind of ability, starting in lane 2 with Tanisha Johnson, and lane 4 Candace Davis, and lane 6 Talia Stewart, the great high school runner, two-time California State 100-meter hurdle champion and 300-meter hurdle champion last year out of Logan High School. Anybody could win this thing, John.
Well, the USC ladies.
This is very important.
Could use some points.
And this is very important for the team title. Coach Ron Ellis is getting the clapping going on the infield because he knows if he has a shot to win this thing, it's going to be in this event. And you're looking at lane 4, and that was just Candace Davis, and then Mackenzie Hill in lane 5. Coach Ellis told me about Candace Davis. She's Miss Sunshine. He says she's intensely dedicated to performing and that she's been really inspired by Ginny Powell. And you see Mackenzie Hill here, who was so great at Long Beach Wilson High School. You know, the world is broken down into 3 parts in track. Those that went to Long Beach Wilson, those that went to Long Beach Poly, and those that went to North High School in Riverside. Because almost every top Southern California top flight athlete went to one of those 3 schools, and Mackenzie Hill is one of those top flight athletes.
Well, a crucial event indeed, as the women of Troy are down 10 points.
And you see
coming into this event.
I'm sorry, and you see Swain again. Coach Alice was telling me that Ginny Powell's been so good for her that her mission to prove that she has a mission to prove, John, that she is good this year. She went home in the off season to Michigan, lost some weight, got serious about school, and Coach Alice says it's been a transformation this season. And I'll tell you what she's done in the 100-meter hurdles has been fabulous. Let's see what she does here. Her best this season so far, 101.12.
Candace Davis in lane 4. Not only from Michigan, Tom, but from Ann Arbor, Michigan. And of course, you don't get a lot of athletes at USC from Ann Arbor.
No, the maize and gold, that's where they go to instead of the gold and red. Out in the outside right now, I'll tell you who's running quite well is Talia Stewart, the freshman. She is out there, made up the stagger and everybody in lane 6. This might be a breakthrough performance for her today. Went to Logan High School, as I mentioned, 3-time California State champion, and now you can see Candace Davis and Mackenzie Hill in lane 4 and 5 moving up now on Stewart. And Candace Davis looks very good. It looks like Davis and Hill have broken away, but you know, these hurdles are so debilitating, you never know what's going to happen down the stretch. Davis was cocking her head there as she came into the stretch. I wonder what that was all about. Well, it looks like Davis, Hill, and it's going to be Talia Stewart in third. Oh, Hill stumbles! Oh my!
Davis laboring, but she will prevail.
And it looks like in lane 1, that was Deshonta Harris of UCLA that took a surprising second place, and it looks like Mackenzie Hill hung on for third. 59.4 for Candace Davis. That's a personal best for her. Watch how she comes out of here. You see her head? It's cocked to the side there. I wonder what that's all about, but she certainly got her form straightened away. Now watch what Mackenzie Hill, it's absolute disaster timing her steps down the straight. And fortunately, she recovered brilliantly, but it's been a breakout year for Candace Davis, and just one more evidence of that.
The unofficial numbers just under 60 seconds for Candace Davis of USC in the victory. The women's 400 intermediate hurdles. And now it's time for the men, and let's update the men's team score through 11 events now. USC with a slight advantage, 49-46. But as we said, the history of the rivalry here in this field, that's a big lead.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. UCLA is going to pick up boatloads of points in this event. Now, you look at the UCLA-USC meet record, Felix Sanchez. Well, in Athens, Greece, Felix Sanchez won the Olympic gold medal. Felix Sanchez also won the World Championships in 2003. It's very rare to find an event here where you don't have an Olympic champion, John. Now, take a look at the lane assignments, and the stud out here is in lane 5, Brandon Johnson. He didn't look too good in the 400 where he faded to third, but Brandon Johnson's a silver medalist from the World Junior Championships in the 400 hurdles. He was beaten by Karen Clement, who broke Michael Johnson's world indoor record in the 400 meters earlier this year. And by the way, Johnson took Clement down at the USA Junior Championships. And of course, Johnson also part of that world record setting 4x400 meter relay at the World Junior Championships. He's out in lane 5, and he won the Pac-10 title last year, and second place in the Pac-10 was Jonathan Williams of UCLA, who's out in lane number 3, John.
Jonathan Williams, who threw himself at the finish line in his earlier event.
And Williams, yes, Williams did throw himself down there, did a great job, and he ran, his lifetime best is 50.14, which he ran at the NCAA West Regionals, finishing second. And I've failed to mention that these athletes need to qualify from the NC2As through the West Regional. It used to be by performance, John, and now everything is through the regional qualifying system. Last year, Brandon Johnson, he emerged at the Pac-10 Championships running sub-49, and Coach Venegas told me before, I think Brandon Johnson is going to be as good as Kevin Young. Well, Kevin Young is the world record holder at 46.78 and the 1992 Olympic champion, so a lot of hopes for this young man.
And a lot at stake, perhaps the lead in the dual meet here in this particular event as we get a false start. And they'll restart them.
Well, Brandon Johnson is an interesting story. He comes from Texas, went to West Orange Stark High School in Texas. As I said, coming into he won the UCLA-USC meet mid-51 seconds last year. Then at the Pac-10 meet at Arizona State, or excuse me, at University of Arizona, he just came out and bombed a 48.85. It was just unbelievable. It's like nobody gets a 2.5-second PR in anything. And then he went on to win the West Regional Championships, 49.64. Got nailed at the NCAA, but then came back at the World Junior Championships. And when you can, run with an athlete the stature of Karen Clement, you know you're going to be world class.
That is Brandon Johnson in lane 5 for the Bruins. Clean on the restart.
All right, and you can see right away Brandon Johnson. Look at his form over the hurdles. He just skims those hurdles. Very, you can see he's probably going about 14 strides between hurdles. Looks very good. Jonathan Williams on the inside, also looking very, very good. This is a Bruin 1-2. Johnson very, very fluid. This is, he hasn't run a lot of 400 hurdles yet this season. Looks very, very strong. In the outside, too, surprisingly for USC, Kai Kelly running very well out in the outside. But you can see the huge margin that Brandon Johnson has over Jonathan Williams. They were 1-2 in the Pac-10s. They're going to be 1-2 in this meet. And this is a virtuoso performance here from Brandon Johnson.
And indeed, the Bruins are going to take the lead in the dual meet by that performance.
And Kenneth Thomas of USC was third, unofficially 50.1 for Brandon Johnson. Kind of a stroll in the park for him today on this track, John.
The unofficial results, so Johnson and Williams 1-2 for UCLA. Kenneth Thomas picks up a point for the Trojans, and the unofficial time there for Brandon Johnson.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that Brandon Johnson did, you can see him pumping his chest. He got out of the blocks very quickly and right away took command of this race. You can see he has a long stride just like Monique Henderson. Kind of reminds me of Monique Henderson. He's the male Monique Henderson, kind of a longer stride, but very, very fluid. He could balance a bottle of water on his head without it falling down. And, you know, he will be ready for the Pac-10s and NCAA West Regionals. And by the way, the Pac-10s May 14th, 15th at UCLA.
Very impressive. Didn't even look like he was doing anything but skipping pebbles on his way to winning the men's 400 intermediate hurdles for Brandon Johnson. Coming back with the women's 200 meters. Now, through 15 events, UCLA still up by 9 points, but USC still within arm's reach, so to speak, as we move towards the women's 200.
Well, this is a mano-a-mano confrontation. We've got Monique Henderson, who ran the fastest time in the collegiate ranks this year and in the U.S. In lane number 5 for UCLA. She's already won the 400. You've got Ginny Powell in lane number 2. Ginny has only run 12:70, the second fastest time in Pac-10 history, behind Gail Devers' 12:61, and only ran 11:15, the fastest time by any collegian this year in the 100 meters. So, and this is going to have dramatic repercussions on this team battle because right now UCLA leads 70-61, and you know it could come down to the 4x400 meter relay, the last event, John.
Well, this is indeed a head-to-head marquee matchup between Ginny Powell and Monique Henderson.
The better lane is Monique Henderson out in lane 5, especially with Ginny Powell's size at 5'10", having to run those tight turns. Both of them are very well rested. The 100 and 100 hurdles were held earlier in the meet, as was the 400. Monique Henderson, of course, has already run a very fast 200 this year. This will be very interesting.
Henderson took the 100 off. Stayed in for the 200.
Well, right now Ginny Powell's making up the stagger and has a slight lead over Monique Henderson. You can see Powell, look at how she leans into the curve. And they're going to come out of the curve and look at Monique Henderson go! Wow, is this a powerful effort. Wow, she's just smoking them. What an impressive performance, Monique Henderson.
Well, a marquee matchup indeed, but definitely not a photo finish.
Unofficially 22-8 for Monique Henderson. Boy, she just blasted out of the... Ginny Powell actually blasted out of the blocks, but just didn't have the staying power that Monique Henderson had.
Yeah, through the turns, as you mentioned, it appeared that Ginny Powell had made up the stagger, but once it hit the straightaway, it was all Monique Henderson.
Well, she's had quite a day, not only with the number of races, but emotionally to come away with 2 personal bests and run as fast as she had. And Monique Henderson coming into this race had the 5th fastest time in the nation in the collegiate ranks at 200 with a 22.96. And this is going to come very close to her personal best in the 200. So, outstanding race for Monique Henderson.
Impressive indeed. 22-8.
And Alexis Weatherspoon actually, excuse me, John, got in for second ahead of Ginny Powell. Monique Henderson will be back for one more race, and that's the 4x400 meter relay, which may ultimately decide this meet. So she has 2 firsts today in the 400 and 200. She was on the 4x100 meter relay as an anchor with the team which lost, and now she's got one more event, the 4x4, all off the stomach flu.
Well, let's go down to the infield where our JJ's standing by with the winner.
Thanks. I have Monique. And Monique, first of all, congratulations on this race. How about and how important is this? Because this is a tight meet. How important was this to come up with this race today?
It was very important. I had planned to do the 100, but pulled out just because I was tired and the SC girls were moving. So this 200 was very important. I'm glad I got out here and got it done.
Now, it's been a full day. You have the 200 now, and you still have the 4x4. How do your legs feel with one more event still to go?
It's not even about your body or how your legs feel. This means it's really about how your heart feels, and my heart's ready to do it for the team. So.
How is the team's morale? Because, you know, this is a close meet. You guys have been haven't lost in forever. I mean, let's face it. And Coach Bolden hasn't lost to USC in 11 tries. How important is this meet? Are you guys feeling any pressure from the Trojans at this point?
You know, we don't underestimate them at all, and we know this is a very high-pressure situation for both teams, and we're just are really unified right now, and we're ready to go.
Good luck with your last event. Back to you, Tom. Back to you, John.
Thank you, John. Now a bit of drama developing down in the high jump pit where USC's Jesse Williams is going for a meet record.
Well, this 6', 155-pound junior earlier this year won the NCAA indoor, and right now he's jumping at 2 meters 26.75, which equals his PR. Great run up, beautiful extension over that bar. Now that broke Anthony Kerr's meet record from 1983. Then he brings the bar up to 2 meters 29, 7 feet 6 inches, which would break the school record of 7'5 3/4 set by David Jaworski at the NCAA championships in 2003. 3 attempts, that was his best one on the last one, just barely knocked the bar off. And Jesse Williams wins at 7'5". Manjula Vijayasukara, another 7'5" high jumper from Sri Lanka, was second at 7 feet 1/2 inch.
So we update the men's standings, and what a shock. It's close. UCLA with just a 5-point advantage over USC through 15 events. And now the men's 200.
Well, this is another great battle for Lionel Larry, who ran that personal best in the 400, breaking 46 seconds for the first time. He's out in lane 2. And you got Wes Felix out in lane 6. He won the 100. And then Marvin Anderson, who has the second fastest time on the collegiate ranks, albeit wind aided, 20:36. So you see the big guns are in lanes 2, lanes 4, and in lane number 6. It should be a Trojan sweep, which would mean that USC would go into the lead over UCLA, because after 15 events, UCLA was up 68-63. So we're expecting a Trojan sweep here, and we'll see what develops, John.
Well, as was the case in the women's 200, the marquee matchup here as we're getting the head-to-head now with some of the stars, not only of the respective teams, but of this meet, as you mentioned, Tom. Some of the performances we've seen today have lived up to all the expectations that this particular meet brings.
Well, one of the things, John, this track just got resurfaced, and they had to change the whole infield, change the whole track, and as a consequence, from May of last year until just a couple of weeks ago, the USC sprinters and jumpers, everybody had to practice on grass fields, and so they really haven't had an opportunity to train on a real track. This thing was a hole in the ground. They dug a 5 to 6 story hole in the ground.
Or like a man without a country.
Exactly right. In fact, Coach Alice told me that he went to a track in Culver City because all the other tracks were closed, and somebody came out and asked him who he was and what he was doing. He said he was from USC and he was training his athletes for the NCAA championships, and the guy said, "I'm a Bruin alum, leave the track." So it's been
the rivalry runs deep.
The still waters run deep, and just an amazing story. Which all their stuff that they're doing today is all the more remarkable. They've been training out on Howard Jones Field, at the Rose Garden. They tried at West LA, and then West LA finally got a track in December that they could run on. So it's been quite a sojourn this year. Wind has picked up considerably here. Lionel Larry in lane 2. What a big day he's had, John. And Marvin Anderson, really this is his event. The Jamaican star from St. Iago High School, and then out in lane number 6, Wes Felix. This is his breakout meet every year. 2 times he's won the 100 and the 200 meters in this meet. He's already won the 100. Well, Marvin Anderson got out best in lane 4, but Wes Felix is a very good closer. Lionel Larry moving up now well, too.
Yes, he is.
And it's Felix and Anderson, 1-2. Can Wes Felix' streak continue?
I went to 2 over there.
Boy, too close to call. 20.5 unofficially. I think Wes Felix
I think
won.
Felix got it, yep.
Yeah. Felix just edging out Marvin Anderson, so he continues his streak of 100 and 200 titles at this UCLA USC track meet. Unbelievable.
The SC sweep, as you mentioned before the race, would give the Trojans the lead in the men's points.
This is the 6th race of 3 years where he's won the 100 and 200 meters, and you can see just down the stretch here, he and Marvin Anderson, you know, going head to head right down the line, and you're going to be able to see this very, very tight finish. Neck and neck.
And even Lionel Larry in there.
Came up very strong, Lionel Larry. As you can see, Felix just barely edging out, it would appear, Anderson, with Felix, with Lionel Larry coming up very well. So 9 points as we predicted for the Trojans. And now the Trojans are in the team lead with 72 points and UCLA with 68.
The seesaw battle continues. Wes Felix unofficial, 20.6 there. And USC in the men's standings, at least for the time being, on top. No surprise, though, here on the campus of the University of Southern California. It's close. The women's 1,500 meters after we step on. And it's time for the women's 1,500 as we check the women's standings on the way there. UCLA starting to stretch the lead and really doesn't need too much more to clinch the meet.
No, they don't. They just need 1 point in this. They just need a third-place finish in this 1,500, which they should be able to get. Now, Irina Vaschuk from USC is in this. Vaschuk, as you can see, has the fastest time in the Pac-10 at the 1,500 this year. She's already won the 5,000. She should win this event, but UCLA should probably go 2-3 in this event with Claire Rethmeyer and Allison Costello. Jenna Tominski is doubling back from the 800, but did not look good, and I do not see, she's coming back onto the track now. She was just talking to Coach Eric Peterson. In fact, she might be a rabbit in this event, would be my guess. So all they need is 1 point here, and they've locked and loaded this meet. And Vaschuk, as I say, will be the favorite. So if she does win, then UCLA just needs to get second or third, and they're in there. And I think that's going to happen because right now it looks like Vaschuk may be the only Trojan in this race. So UCLA with a finish, UCLA with a finish will win the meet because Vaschuk is the only one that has lined up here. Kristen Berglass from USC was supposed to also be entered in this, but she is not.
Well, it had looked good early on and throughout the day, at least a chance for the women of Troy, but not to be.
But this is the closest it's been in years. I mean, the streak of Jeanette Bolden, I mean, we really had a situation where we, you know, it could have been over. So now this one, Jenna Tominski indeed is going out and taking the lead, doing a little rabbiting here. Vaschuk will be the favorite in the Pac-10 Championship 1,500 in all likelihood this year. She's comfortably in fourth place. Olga Ole is in third place. And Costello, Allison Costello in second place. Allison Costello now moving into, now Tominski still setting the pace.
Vaschuk was very impressive early on in the meet. In fact, a number of hours ago in winning the 5,000. Just looks so smooth in doing it and doesn't ever really look like she's laboring or even running all that hard.
Now she 113 through 400 meters there. Vaschuk comfortably, as I said, in third place. Tominski still setting the pace. Costello in second, and Ole Leon in third. Interesting that they have this event at the backside of the program because the men's 1,500 was early in the program. Of course, Tom Walsh has recruited a lot of Eastern European runners to USC. Grazina Pence, Anna Wapachu, and Vaschuk is a senior from Kiev, Ukraine, and was the Pac-10 champion at 1,500 meters last year, and also was the NCAA West Regional champion at 1,500 meters.
The first time, the first lap they did, that cart was on the track down there at the far end, and it's now been removed.
And now it's Costello. Tominski still setting the pace for Costello. Olay Leon has just been passed by Rethmeyer. And Vaschuk in fifth. The pace is dawdling here. Through 800, 231. That was a minute 18 second lap. Very, very slow. Very tactical. All they're doing basically is setting themselves up for Vaschuk to kick by them at the end.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. She just seems very comfortable with everything that's going on around her.
Vaschuk's PR in the 1500 meters is 4:12.79. She will not be close to that here. She's an economics major at USC. And Rethmeyer now has moved into first. And
well, Thomas, some of the athletes pointed out earlier this week, while it may or may not be about records from an individual basis, the great thing about the dual meet, or any dual meet, but this dual meet in particular, is you remember if you won or not.
You're exactly right. You know, this is such a team-oriented, the only time you really get this team-oriented is at this meet. I mean, certainly NCAA's when you're trying to win an NCAA team title like UCLA did last year, and there goes Vaschuk. Vaschuk, and that is Olay Leon going with her. Vaschuk, Olay Leon, Rethmeyer, Tominski, Costello has dropped back.
Looked like it was all Olay Leon could do to stay out of Vaschuk's feet.
Yeah, now that last lap, 72 seconds, the fastest of the day, 3:43 through 1,200 meters. And Vaschuk, look at, very smooth running form. Very polished competitor. You see that a lot in the Europeans. They know how to run, and they know how to run well in traffic. And you see that so often, and now she is moving away from Olay Leon. She's a senior this year. She looks extraordinarily good. She won that 5,000 meters earlier today, so like John Rankin and like Monique Henderson and Ginny Powell, she will have 2 wins today. Look at how smooth,
Impressive,
John.
smooth wins at that.
Olay Leon will take second, and Claire Rethmeyer now will move up for third. 5 points for the Trojans, 4 for UCLA. 4:32.5, nothing to write home about, but the win is important.
And so often where these two teams are concerned, the win is all they write home about.
You're exactly right.
The unofficial results, Vaschuk 4:32.5, and UCLA with the second and the third clinches the women's title in the dual meet. We'll have the women's
for second in the 400 going up against Mackenzie Hill, John. And Mackenzie Hill was the one who hit that hurdle in that final hurdle in the 400-meter hurdle. So, John, she may want to have a little revenge, a little redemption, exactly. And it looks pretty close right now.
She seemed to give up a little bit at the beginning, but has held her own now as they come out of the final turn and head down the backstretch. But indeed, Tracy Thomas seems to have gained a little more ground as they come out of that turn.
And Thomas from North High School in Riverside and Mackenzie Hill from Long Beach Wilson. As I said, the world is split into those 2 schools and Long Beach Poly. And now Tracy Thomas will hand off to the great freshman from Long Beach Poly, as a matter of fact. And that is, of course, Jasmine Lee. 54-2 for Tracy Thomas.
Deshante Harris takes the baton for the Bruins, and now a decided disadvantage for UCLA.
And 57-1 for Mackenzie Hill. So about a 3-second gap. Jasmine Lee opening it up on Deshante Harris. Harris had a nice 400-meter hurdles today. Some unexpected points perhaps to Jeanette Bolden when she finished second in 101.37. Kind of a breakthrough performance for her. But I'll tell you what, it's really hard, John, when you ask somebody to run a 400 hurdles and a 4x400 meter relay, because that 400 hurdles is just a brutal event. And Jasmine Lee looks terrific, full of run, the freshman from Long Beach Poly.
Well, we watched all of the contestants as they came across the finish line after that hurdles, and there wasn't one of them that looked like they had anything left.
Exactly right. So 54-1 for Jasmine Lee. It's the same split that Tracy Thomas ran 54-2 and Jasmine Lee 54-1.
She gives Alexis Weatherspoon a great deal of room to work with.
58-5 for Deshante Harris. So UCLA is struggling a bit with their runners, and you can see the gap has significantly increased for Weatherspoon.
Yeah, it's a steep hill for Natasha Hall to try to make up here as she works down the backstretch to try to close the gap. but it's a gaping gap.
Well, this is going to make the meet 85-78, and unless USC drops the baton, it's still one of the closest finishes we've had. And a nice job by Alexis Weatherspoon here, and now she's going to hand off to the Tom Walsh special, who's done a marvelous job. Triani Swain, that great 800 she ran earlier today, 56.2 for Alexis Weatherspoon.
I'm not even sure Monique Henderson can make this one up.
No can do. 57.8 for Natasha Hall. Kind of surprised that Monique is running in this after the stomach virus and running the 400 and the 200 and the 4x100 meter relay. But probably doing this for some conditioning work, John.
And the fact that it's the UCLA USC dual meet.
Good point. Good point. So coming into the straight now will be Triani Swain. 2 victories today and a nice performance from the private school Oakwood in North Hollywood. .336.99. We're roughly about 337 for USC. 52.4 on that leg for Triani Swain, which is a real good leg for her. 337.0 is not bad. You know, that team probably is easily capable of running 332 or 331.
Now look at the unofficial numbers. SC gets the win at 337.2. They get the 5 points, but it won't be enough to get the meet, and JJ is standing by down inside the track with the winning coach.
Thanks, John. I'm down with Coach Bolden, and the UCLA women have clinched this meet. Coach, first of all, let me ask you, how special is this victory compared to the others?
This is by far our hardest victory, and it's very special. You have no idea how our team meeting went last night. The girls were so fired up and so ready to go, and we had a disappointment in the hammer, and then everybody just told Jessica Cosby, we got your back, and we'll come through for us, for you, and that's what happened today.
We'll talk about the team and the morale, because like you said, this team, you know, USC was right there. They were threatening, but this team showed heart, especially at the end of the meet.
They did, and we just talked about taking care of business and taking care of your area, and the girls have stepped up. I'm so proud of them, because USC, Ron Allis has just done a tremendous job, and his team was very ready.
Yeah, but Coach, the record says 71-0, 13-0 against the Trojans in dual meets. Talk about how special that is, because that's a phenomenal record.
Well, I think I let the record keep and come up to you guys. You know, let you guys keep up the records, and I just kind of take it one day at a time and do the best I can on a daily basis.
Okay, and for you, any special moments that you'll remember, especially in this meet?
Wow, there's so many special moments. I think come to mind is Dawn Harper, who has a really sore hamstring. She's been nursing that since the indoor season, and right during her warm-up, she tweened it a little bit, and I could see the grimace on her face, and she's like, if I don't run, we will not get the point. And she came out there and ran a seasonal best at 13:11, and you can't ask for more than that.
That's what kind of day it's been for the Bruins. They were phenomenal once again. It's getting sort of character. We do this all the time, Coach.
No.
Back up to you, John.
Thanks, John. Coach Bolden is quite pleased, and for good reason. Congratulations to her and the rest of the Bruins. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, the men's 4x400 relays. I guess I should say we've got a developing situation in the men's 5,000, Tom.
Well, coming into this event, USC led the Bruins 75-74. UCLA needed to finish 1-2 in this event in order to clinch the team title, and they did that one better. They finished 1, 2, and 3. A surprising performance. Austin Ramos getting the victory in 14:44.31. Eric Emelson, who won the steeplechase, finished second, and John Rankin, after wins in the 800 and 1500, took third.
So UCLA has clinched, and now it's time for the men's 4x400. A look at the bests, the record in the meet, and time for the lane assignments as well. Should be an exciting event indeed.
Well, this one's for pride. Number 3 and SC, or it looks like, I'm sorry, the UCLA A team is in lane 5 and SC is in lane 4.
Yeah.
USC is going to have Lionel Larry on the first leg. The indestructible Lionel Larry.
Yeah, he's had a good day.
He's had a terrific day. Won that 400 in a personal best, 45.78, and a brilliant run there. And
looking strong early on here as well.
And we've got for UCLA, Mario Bassani, who is running that first leg. Bassani was 6th in 47.29 in the 400 earlier. UCLA has run 3:05 in this event, and I tell you, it would have been amazing if the meet had come down to this event because both 4x400 teams are very, very good.
SC has the big guns out for this one.
Wes Felix running the second leg for USC, and Wes Felix earlier won the 100 and 200 as a part of his 6 wins in 3 years in those events. Mario Bassani 47.7 on the first leg. Lionel Larry fairly close to that, about 47.3, 47.4.
No, Felix not running away from Verscher there. As despite having already clinched the meet, the Bruins running for pride as much as the Trojans are here in this final event.
Well, that's right, and these two teams are really going right at each other. And Wes Felix putting on a big kick at the end. Now I'm going to tell you, this kid Jeff Garrison is quite a story. Jeff Garrison couldn't train last year basically at all. He wanted to run the UCLA USC meet and ran a leg in the 4x400 meter relay. Danier Verscher 46.1 for UCLA on that second leg. Garrison today finished 4th in the 400, 46.74, but this kid's got a lot of heart, just the way that Coach Alice was talking about Lionel Larry having a lot of heart. Now, for UCLA, that's Brandon Johnson making up big ground here. Now, Brandon Johnson was on the world record-setting World Junior 4x400 meter team a year ago, and look at him go.
Yeah, he was getting nothing done early on, but his kick is making this anybody's race for the anchor leg.
Wow, look at Brandon Johnson, and Garrison's trying to dig in, and now we're onto the anchor legs, and we have Marvin Anderson for USC, Craig Everhart for UCLA, 46.4 for Garrison, 45.7 for Brandon Johnson, and we have a race here with Everhart and Anderson. Everhart second in the open 400 behind Lionel Larry at 45.91, and Marvin Anderson finishing second in that 200 in 20.75. And it's going to be interesting to see here. Anderson now up on Everhart.
Anderson has him measured for the kick and the big finish. One of the best finishes we may have all day right here.
And everybody's on their feet here. Everybody in this stadium is on their feet watching the end of this. And here comes Everhart. Everhart's stronger than Anderson, but Anderson's going to hold him off. Amazing. Anderson's going to hold him off. Tremendous finish for USC. 45.8 for Marvin Anderson on the anchor leg.
And that'll make this a virtual blowout, as the 5 points for the Trojans will bring them ever closer, but not close enough. And after 3 straight meets here at Locher Stadium being decided by just 1 point, UCLA will end up prevailing by 3 today.
Amazing. This meet hasn't been decided by anything but 1 point since 1997. And if you don't think these kids are hungry, look at Craig Everhart on the track. And Everhart just disconsolate on the track after giving it his all. And here you see down the stretch Marvin Anderson, who's not really that well known as a 400-meter runner. He puts the speed burners on Craig Everhart, who's broken 45 seconds in the open 400.
Everhart almost looked as if he didn't think Anderson was that close to him, and by the time Anderson passed him, he had too much going, and Everhart's kick was too little too late.
Well, one thing is for sure is that both these teams have a lot of really good quarter-milers. Brandon Johnson's leg on that 4x400 meter relay for UCLA was exceptional.
Another close meet, another dramatic finish, and we'll be back to wrap it all up in a moment.
Are you still
inside? UCLA has taken 4 straight, and this one not as close as usual, at least when they play here at Locher Stadium.
3 one-point wins now, a 3-point victory, and John Rankin came through in the clutch, an 800 and 1500 win in that third to 5,000 that got him those last couple points.
A tremendous day and a tradition-rich event. For Tom Fewer and John Jackson, this is John Ollers saying thanks for being with us. Another UCLA USC track meet on FSN West.
Truly, and she was a great high school runner. At the end of her junior year, she set the national high school record. Didn't have a great senior year. Couple of tough years as a UCLA Bruin, and then a junior year and an Olympic year. She has an incredible breakout year. She makes the Olympic team in the 4x400 relay and comes home from Athens with a gold medal. Just missed making the open 400 by finishing 4th at the trials, and she's already posted the best run of the year in the 400 meters. On the collegiate ranks. Sonia Richards of Texas has moved on to the pro ranks, and that's who knocked her out of the NCAA championship last year. She's a runner-up at the NCAA. She really is the dominant figure at 400 meters in the collegiate ranks, and will make a great pro runner from this year on.
And an important race, I think, for the Stanford women here, too, just in terms of positioning.
No question. In lane 4, Nashomi Johnson, she's got the number 7 time in the Pac-10 coming in. And in lane 7, Christine Mosquella, the number 5 time. How they finish and how they step up, if they can get both of them in the top 4, those would be big, big points for Stanford.
And there's a look at Nashomi Johnson, and when we were talking in that last commercial break, you were saying it's a problem for her because she's got to run alongside Monique Henderson.
Exactly, and it's so hard when you get somebody like Monique Henderson being a decent sprinter. She is going to get out fast and hard. She is the Pac-10 champion in both the 400 and the 200 meters, so you know that she has the leg speed. She just simply put 10 meters on this field by the time they're through the first turn.
Sophie Abeltrup over in lane 3 from Oregon, a personal best in the preliminaries to get here, 53:48. But everybody going to be watching the back of Monique Henderson here.
And Henderson is mature enough now where she knows that just to put out enough energy to win this race, get the 10 points, be fresh as she can for the 200, and then she also has the 4x400 relay, which could determine the team title.
Should mention Cassandra Reed also in lane 6 of Arizona State. Good finisher. Underway in the women's 400, and you can see Henderson get out extremely quickly. So did Reed of Arizona State. This is Henderson and Reed running 1-2 right now.
And Reed is really helping Monique Henderson by running that first turn so hard, and now Monique Henderson just stretches it down the back stretch. She's starting to make up the stagger, but she had somebody as a rabbit out there right to her outside. That's a huge help because starting from now on in, she's running by herself with no one to draw off of.
Henderson and Reed running 1-2. It is Henderson by a couple of yards as she makes the final turn. Monique Henderson running very easily and just kind of doing what she does. Cassandra Reed comfortably in second place right now. Nashomi Johnson moving into third place right for Stanford, and Sophie Abeltrup of Oregon running fourth. Henderson going to win this race by about 20 yards and just coasting through the finish line. Reed will hold on for second, Johnson third, Abeltrup finishes fourth.
And Stanford was third and fifth in that race, so 10 points for Stanford in this 400. They probably couldn't help for a whole lot more. Unofficially, we have Monique Henderson around 51.2 seconds, a very good time considering she really wasn't pushed, and she still has a couple of races ahead of her this afternoon. Very hot, as we have mentioned here. 400 meters and sprinters like the heat, but still it takes its toll being out here for several hours. Henderson getting out nicely in the first turn, but she really was pulled through that first turn by Reed of Arizona State, and then she just starts to stretch it out down the back stretch, you know, the way that Jim Bush used to coach his quarter milers back in the 70s, John Smith, Wayne Collette, all the great 400-meter runners. Jeanette Bolden has done the same thing with Monique Henderson, really found the right formula for her these last couple of seasons, and at this point with about 170 meters to go, it is all Henderson, and I think that she probably could have let up a whole lot more, but I think running 51.2 is so easy for her now that she can just let it go, and she'll be nice and fresh for the 200 and the 4x4 later.
Just a nice, easy stride. Tom Fuhrer right now is with the winner. Tom?
Monique, how much of an effort was that for you, knowing that you have the 200 and perhaps a meet-deciding 4x400 meter relay later?
It was an effort, but I just felt a little tired from yesterday, so.
You looked terrific in that 200 yesterday. Are you making more concerted effort to use that as a speed builder for the 400 or something that you might also run in the NCAA as well?
It depends. So far it's going well, but to be competitive in the NCs, I need to run a little faster.
Where do you keep that Olympic gold medal?
It's at home in San Diego with my parents.
Thanks very much. Good luck in the rest of the day.
All right, thanks very much, Tom. And here are the official results in the women's 400, and 51:31 official time for Monique Henderson. Cassandra Reed got out very quickly, held on for second place ahead of Stanford's Nashomi Johnson. Let's talk about the pole vault right now, Dwight.
Well, yesterday after Tommy Skipper was out of it for the University of Oregon, a little earlier than that, sophomore from Washington, McCain Lee with the bar at 17 feet 3/4 of an inch. Tommy Skipper was still throwing the javelin at this point in the competition, but Lee over easily. 17 feet 3/4 of an inch on his first attempt, so he gets third place for Arizona State. The sophomore Brandon Glenn, 10th at this meet a year ago, getting that nice tailwind down the runway here at Drake Stadium, and he clears easily at 17.4.5 does Brandon Glenn, and that's when Skipper had all his problems, no height. And then Yu Kim, who's twice the runner-up the Pac-10, NCAA runner-up last year when he set the Korean national record. He jumped at the games in Athens for his native Korea, finally wins a Pac-10 title by clearing 17 feet 9 inches, and because of the meltdown of Tommy Skipper, Yu Kim of UCLA wins his first Pac-10 title. Brandon Glenn second, and McCain Lee of Washington gets third.
Well, we've been talking, Dwight and Tom, all day long about how many of these events have been dominated by one individual. Here's one that is absolutely not. The men's 400, I think a wide open race.
It certainly is, and again, UCLA's Craig Everhart, and then the Oregon runners, Matt Shearer and Kedar Iniko. Very, very important how they will finish in this, as well as Danya Verscher of UCLA. Depending on how they juggle the points here, and Oregon is really on a roll here. They had a great school record 4x100 meter relay, a third place unexpected in the men's 110 hurdles. Another opportunity for the Ducks to step up, and it's something that they really do need to do. They need everybody to step up, and UCLA, from an Oregon standpoint, needs to melt down in order for the Ducks to pull this off, and it would really be painful for UCLA to lose the conference meet at home.
Very competitive, and just to give you an idea of exactly how competitive, Louis Banda, who was the two-time Pac-10 Conference champion, did not qualify for the final.
Yeah, he really looked tough. It's hard to say if maybe he's just got some post-Olympic letdown or some injuries or something. He just worked so hard last year to make that Olympic team and run in Athens, or if he is building towards the World Championships later this summer. He's just looked very, very rough. As you mentioned, did not make the final after being twice defending champion. But his teammate, Dominic Pedersen, is actually the #1 in the Pac-10 this year, 4th at the Pac-10s here last year in the 100 and 200. So he's got the speed, and then runner-up at the NCAA's at the 4x100 meter relay. So and they also were 4th in that 4x400. So Arizona State is formidable in both relays, and they probably will make an impact with Dominic Pedersen here in lane 6 in the 400.
This race, of course, really could come down just to who's right on this particular day.
That's correct, and who's dealing with the heat. You got to think the Arizona schools are at a bit of an advantage here because they've been dealing with some more heat over in Arizona than we have here in Southern California, and some of the schools up north like Oregon and the Washington schools just aren't used to this kind of heat yet, and the Arizona schools, of course, have been experiencing it for many, many weeks.
So the runners are at their marks. Everhart, I beg your pardon, in lane 5, Scherer in lane 4, Peterson in lane 6, but this could go any way. Nick Sebas, Stanford football player, in lane number 2. Brandon Johnson running for UCLA. This is not particularly his event, but he's in there for points, and he actually got an excellent start. Right now, it is Brandon Johnson, normally a hurdler for UCLA, who has the early lead in the men's 400.
But he has nobody to draw off out there. He's running blind like a time trial and really rabbiting the race for everybody else. It's time for Craig Everhart to step it up for the UCLA Bruins and try and put some distance between them and the Oregon Ducks.
Peterson for Arizona State running very smoothly. He has the lead right now as they turn for home. Also coming up is Matt Shearer of Oregon. It's going to be Peterson and Shearer as they make the turn. Everhart of UCLA is there too, and now it is Kedar Iniko. It's Kedar Iniko of Oregon who's going to take over the lead. Peterson second, Everhart third. It is going to be Iniko of Oregon who's going to win it very close for second. I think Peterson got it, and Shearer might have outleaned Everhart for 4th place. And again, 4th place in a team competition, extremely important.
The worst case scenario for Oregon on that is 1st and 4th, and they may have been 3rd. And that is a disaster for UCLA, for Oregon to have run so well, winning the race, which I don't think was expected. Dominic Pedersen probably expected to do well, at least on paper coming in here. He looks awfully easy there, as if he has a lot left. He starts to lift up the home stretch, but on his outside, Kedar Iniko, who has just came in as the number 6 runner in the Pac-10 at this distance this year, saved his best for the conference meet and just blew by Pedersen. As you can see, with about 75 meters to go, he just blows by him like he's standing still. Everhart in the blue there of UCLA trying to hold off the closing Matt Shearer, and did he do it? We have to wait for the results. It looks as though Everhart was able to manage the 3rd place, so it's 6 points for the Bruins, but it's going to be 14 for Oregon.
Oregon coming up big, not so much in winning events, although they win this one with Iniko, but just in adding up those points for 3rd, 4th, 5th. We'll take a look at the team competition in just a little while. We're coming back. Look right now at the team standings. First of all, amongst the men, Oregon just coming up huge here.
Well, they're having a great meet, and they're really stepping up after Tommy Skipper's meltdown in the pole vault, and still more events for Oregon to do well in it.
And the women's competition, after 13 events, Stanford, Tom Fuhrer with a very slight lead over UCLA, very close again.
Well, as we said, every race is critical for the team title, and, you know, we saw Monique Henderson. She's going to have to run one hell of a leg in that 4x4, which it may come down to, Barry.
So you can see a difference right now of 5 points, and a very big event right here for the Stanford Cardinal women.
Well, absolutely. They have 2 runners in Ashley Purnell and Janice Davis who must get points. And when we say must get points, they're going to need about a 3-4 finish here in order for Stanford to still maintain, some sense of to be ready to, fight UCLA down the stretch here.
That said, of course, the race will be held in the middle of the track. Ginny Powell trying to come up with a double. She's already got the 100-meter hurdles in her pocket. Alexis Weatherspoon outside of her, and she also is very tough.
And Weatherspoon, the number 3 time in the Pac-10 this year, 5th at this meet last year. But Ginny Powell trying to pull off the double, but the Stanford Cardinal, that is where the race is really going to be important for the team title.
Portia Carroll of Arizona State could upset everybody. Underway. Great start this time by Weatherspoon. It's Weatherspoon with an early lead. Now Powell takes the lead. It's Powell, Weatherspoon, and Carroll. Powell, Weatherspoon, and Carroll. Powell's going to win it close for second. I believe Weatherspoon got it, and I think Carroll of Arizona State was second, or rather was third. Extremely close after that.
And the Stanford sprinters did not step up. Janice Davis might have been about 4th, maybe 5th. And Ashley Purnell was completely out of it, might have gotten last. Ginny Powell, she's just stepped up to a different level. The confidence that she's running with this year, with a 12.70 hurdles to her credit, many times under 12.8 this year. She is the class of the sprinters in this conference right now. Second time that she's won the Pac-10 100-meter title. The first time since Gail Devers, the great Gail Devers, back in 1988, to win the 100 meters and 100-meter hurdles title in the same year.
So it's Powell, Weatherspoon, Carroll, and Carter and Hawes of California finishing 4th and 5th. So the Stanford women, as you said, did not step up. Let's talk about the women's shot.
Second place yesterday in the women's shot goes to the sophomore from Arizona State, Jessica Presley, after 2 fouls to open the competition. So some good concentration there. She gets out to 54 feet 6 inches. On the right is head coach Art Venegas, but he is by all means one of the great throwing coaches in the country as he works with his charge, senior Jessica Cosby, and she is quite the screamer. The left-hander using the old glide style, and that's what you get in every effort, both in the shot and in the hammer. And Cosby gets out to 56 1 3/4 in the 3rd round, and that was good enough for the victory. Cosby gets the 10 points. Jessica Presley and Julie Pedersen at ASU 2nd and 3rd.
Drake Stadium here at UCLA, the site of this year's Pac-10 Track and Field Championships for men and women. Let's take a look at the official results of the women's 100 meters. Ginny Powell with her 2nd win of the day. She beats her teammate, 11.28. Portia Carroll of ASU finishes in 3rd place. And we turn our attention now to the men's 100 meters. And on the left, that's Jordan Kent of Oregon. On the right, recognize that face? That's Ernie Kent, the basketball coach at the University of Oregon. And oh, by the way, the father of Jordan Kent. Jordan also plays for his dad on the Oregon basketball team. Speaking of which, that's a very difficult transition to make, isn't it? Going from basketball, very different set of muscles, different usage, onto the track field.
No question, and in field events it's even more pronounced because they come out of basketball very fit, a lot of leaping, and they don't make that transition to track, and at the end of the season they just don't have it. But the first few weeks out of basketball, these guys are world beaters.
Ernie Kent, quality individual, I'll tell you that. Whole family is, as a matter of fact. So here are the lane assignments. Del Rincon of Oregon in lane 1, Jordan Kent lane 2, Seth Amu coming off a strong leg of the relay to start the day. Wes Felix got to be considered the favorite. Now Anderson of UCLA will not run. He's got a bad hammy. Marvin Anderson had the fastest qualifying time coming in. Philip Francis, USC in lane 6. James McSwain, keep an eye on him. Washington State has done very well in this event historically. Gary Jones, USC lane 8. And Wapamo Osaise of Stanford in lane 9.
I have to correct Anderson from USC, not UCLA, and he had to drop because of the hamstring. He's always been a fragile athlete, but again, another opportunity for Oregon to make some points and stretch out their lead over UCLA.
So Felix, lane 4, Francis, lane 5. Very good start that time for Amu. It is now Felix running in second place, McSwain. It's Felix, McSwain, and close for third. Felix wins it, McSwain is second. Pick him for third.
Wes Felix, the runner-up here last year. The last 3 titles for the Pac-10 have been won by Washington State athletes, and James McSwain of Washington State came in with the best time in the conference. But Wes Felix, after twice being the 200-meter conference champion, finally wins a 100-meter title and brings that title back to the USC Trojans in his senior year. And Felix took the lead at about 40 to 50 meters. McSwain is off the screen, but it was very, very close, as you now see him on the right of your screen. But it was Wes Felix from 50 meters on. And let's see how those Oregon runners did. Well, they finally had an event where they didn't step up completely.
Seth Amu, I think, of Arizona State got there for third. He did, ahead of two other USC runners, Francis and Jones. We'll come back right after this. And let's take a look at the official results of the men's 100. Wes Felix is a winner, 10.24. James McSwain of Washington State finishing second, 10.42, ahead of Arizona State's Seth Amu. The two Oregon runners, incidentally, did finish fourth and fifth, Del Rincon and Jordan Kent. Before we look ahead to the women's 800, let's look back for just a moment, fellas.
Well, women's steeplechase, Barry, Arizona State has never lost since this event was added to the Pac-10 in 2001. Now, Amy Hastings, the defending champion, out for Arizona State. No problema. Instead, they had Anna Massinelli, who came into this season with a lifetime best of 11:06:47. Well, in the meet yesterday, she ran 10:23:27, an almost 45-second improvement over what she came in earlier this year. But the real story was Stanford. Katie Trotter and Jeannie Goff leading a 2.356 finish for Stanford and 27 points. Massinelli, big win. Trotter second, Goff third. Now the men's steeple. Last year we were shocked by this individual as a freshman. Aaron Aguayo. He defeated Ian Dobson in a wonderful stretch run of the steeple with a great kick. This year he made it look so much easier. He cruised to the win in 8 minutes 41 seconds, towing David Vidal and Eric Emmelson. Vidal of Stanford, Emmelson of UCLA, along in a race that had 5 runners break 8 minutes and 50 seconds in hot conditions. Aguayo so smooth down the stretch. He's already run a 13:49 5,000 this season. Easy win. Vidal, key points for Stanford in second, and Emmelson, key points for UCLA in third. And the women's 10,000, Alicia Craig of Stanford, two-time NCAA champion and a collegiate record holder in this event. Dwight, it was her all the way.
And at least they had a little bit better conditions in that the sun went down far enough that the main stands gave them shade on the home stretch and then eventually on the back stretch as well. And Craig, so dominant and therefore so intimidating, lapped half the field and cruising to the victory. And of course, Stanford always very, very strong in the middle distance and distance points. Coach Hedrick Floral.
And she will be key today because she's going to come back in the 5,000 along with Bay. So you can see the win by a whopping 82 seconds over Victoria Jackson. Again, some more points for Stanford with Lindsay Flax, the freshman, in third.
Fravel Quinley of Arizona State comes into the conference meet with a #1 jump in the Pac-10, but he was behind after 4 rounds. And in his 6th and final effort, gets it out to 25 feet 6 inches and breaks the heart of Alan Sims of USC for the victory. He was the leader on paper, and he ended up wresting the title. Sims ends up second for USC. Leonidas Watson of Oregon gets very important 3rd place points.
So that brings you up to date. We're still looking at some very close team competitions. The women's 800, our next event on the track. That'll be coming up when we come back. This is the women's 800, another one of those wide open races, Dwight.
And there are no UCLA entries in this race, but there are a couple of Stanford entries. But it is so tightly bunched as far as times coming into this event. Lane 5, Chloe Jarvis, the Cal senior. She's #1 on the Pac-10 list, but not by a whole lot. She redshirted last year, team captain at Cal. She was second at the Pac-10s in 2003. She has the most amount of experience, and look for some Cal team tactics here to try and shut out the Stanford runners. You know, they've got a great rivalry going on up there in the Northern California area, and it would certainly help UCLA. I know that UCLA is rooting for the Golden Bears in this race.
Well, Dwight, excuse me, Barry, Jarvis and Johnson both look better than anybody else in the heats yesterday.
They are running side by side right now in 2nd and 3rd place behind the leader Ashley Freeman of Stanford.
Not sure the strategy here, Barry or Dwight, why Freeman's taking it out right now. She should be laying back because they're going to the points for Stanford are so critical in this event, and she's the one that they really have to ride. And it doesn't make much sense to me that she's out there sharing pace-setting responsibilities.
Mataz is the other Stanford runner, and she right now is in last place. So Ashley Freeman will lead the pack through here with Johnson alongside of her. Jacobs behind her. Swain of USC is there, and so too is Gina Clayton of USC.
And Chloe Jarvis looks full of run in 3rd place. She would be my pick right now to take the stretch run. 60 seconds at 400 meters, so the pace was very aggressive, Dwight.
And Jarvis in a perfect position. She has so much more experience than most of the women in this race as far as having run really tough races at the NCAA level. And she is now just slowly but surely, gradually getting into where she needs to be. But I'm surprised to see the Freeman still hanging on there for Stanford. I'm not sure she'll finish in the top 4 at the end.
No, Swain and Clayton for USC are also moving up, and you can see Freeman dying. 132 at 600 meters, and Freeman starting to break here, and Jarvis very impressive, Barry.
Yeah, no question about it. Jarvis easily into the lead. Freeman laboring in second place. Johnson, California in third place right now. Moving up on the outside right now is Schumacher of California as well. Jarvis going to win this race with relative ease. Freeman looks like she is going to hold on for second place. Very close for third. As coming hard is Swain, and Johnson fights her off. So California 1 and 3rd. First and third, I should say. Freeman finishes second ahead of Swain, who finishes 4th.
That was a gutty performance by Ashley Freeman, having taken it out and still having enough to hold on. I know I'm surprised that she finished in second place. I thought she would be swallowed up in that last 50 meters, but it didn't happen, and that's so important. Those 8 points for Stanford. Chloe Jarvis, clearly the class of the field, but I was waiting for Ashley Freeman to die or for the rest of the field to just scoop her up, and it never happened. Cal did a good job getting first and third here. Chloe Jarvis had the best time overall, all time coming in here, but they were so closely bunched as far as their times this season. She wins it easily, but Ashley Freeman for Stanford, that could end up being a very important point when we look back at that 800 meters. That could be the reason why Stanford wins this team title.
Yeah, no question about it. Fine performance, certainly take nothing away from the winner, Chloe Jarvis, but Ashley Freeman really the story. This is a team competition, remember, and Alyssa Johnson of California finishing in third place. Let's go down to the field right now. Tom Fuhrer, bring us up to date on the men's shot.
Well, you talk about the men's shot put, you got to talk about UCLA. And a big event for UCLA in the team title hopes. They had a number of putters involved here, and Coach Art Venegas, cagey as he always is, had these guys ready to throw. And the big story was John Caulfield. He's a freshman, came up big for UCLA. Teammate Jeremy Silverman was second last year, slipped to fourth this year. Caulfield ended up third at 61.5 3/4. Now this is Ruben Williams. He struggled a lot this season, but boy did he come through with a 64 2.5 effort for second place. After 3 third-place finishes in Pac-10 competition, this was a nice capper for Ruben Williams' career in the conference. This is Sean Shields. He's had a breakthrough year. The former World Junior silver medalist, should be in the mix for the NCAA title, and once again he had a 65-foot throw yesterday. He won it at 65 5.5. Shields should be somebody that should be a major factor in the NCAA competition June 11th. And the results of the top 3, you see Shields of Arizona, Ruben Williams of Cal, and John Caulfield of UCLA. 14 points for the Bruins in this event.
Welcome back. We turn our attention now to the men's 800-meter, a very key race here when you take a look at the team standings. We'll look at the women's 800-meter official results. California first and third, bracketing Ashley Freeman. Chloe Jarvis 2:04.53 for the win. That's her teammate alongside Alyssa Johnson. She finished in 2:05.94. Now the men's 800, as we said, this is a key race. Interesting, too, the way this race shaped up. Nobody from the first heat qualified for this race yesterday.
Yeah, and this is such a key race for the team title with Oregon just one guy in here and UCLA with a couple. But